Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Life Health Show. I got return guests. I loved them last time, and they're back. So I'm so glad. This is Erin and Dusty. Say hello to the audience, Erin and
Hey
Dusty.
guys,
Hi
glad to
guys.
be here again.
Yes. Well, a lot's happened since our last interview, and everybody, I'm going to put the link below to our last interview. And before we get into what we're going to discuss today, can you, for those of you that didn't see the last interview, can you briefly introduce yourselves?
Yeah,
So we are Erin and Dusty Stanczyk. We created the website and lifestyle brand EatMoveRest.com. Oh, it's been probably, how long has it been now? Almost a decade, which is crazy.
yeah,
So we kind of did that to just establish like a name for ourselves on the internet, sharing what we were passionate about, which was navigating our own personal health and healing journeys and unboxing the blender that had sat in the cabinet after we got married for 2 years and then finally not feeling great.
right.
Decided to unbox that, and our blending and juicing journey began. We felt amazing, and we just got deeper and deeper into the plant-based lifestyle and diet, and we started sharing, and eventually our friends started not feeling so great either, and started asking for the recipes. And so it became a blog, Instagram, and then finally YouTube, where things really started to take off for us.
Yeah, we were at that age where we kind of got together right before we graduated college. I worked at a bar, so I spent most of my time in a bar drinking beer. After the bar, we would order pizza, and it was this college lifestyle of beer and pizza and terrible food and staying up late. And we kind of got together at the same time. I had decided to move home because I'm like, I can't live with these guys anymore and party anymore. So I moved home, and then I bumped into each other. We had known each other for years, and yeah, we started eating healthier, feeling better, like Erin said. And after Instagram and the blog and all of these things started, I was getting text messages from my buddies who were similarly coming out of their college days. And I remember one text from a friend. We were in our mid-20s, and he said, "Hey, I just left the doctor. He said my cholesterol is too high. What was that green smoothie recipe?" And that then a light bulb kind of went on for Erin and I. We were like, "Oh wow, yeah, like we should share this. We could start sharing this." And yeah, just one thing led to another. And I feel like we've been kind of, God was on one end of a rope, just we were tethered through Instagram and blog and now YouTube, and dragged even today. Social media can be a hard thing, a hard place to be and a hard place to work, but we feel like we've got a bigger purpose.
Yeah.
And so we're just constantly being pulled through to be a conduit for people.
Yeah.
And now with 3 kids, we're sharing healthy recipes, not just for individuals but for families, so it's fun.
And our online community then became our in real life community when we started hosting retreats in Costa Rica. Just
Yeah.
lots of abundance of fresh fruits and vegetables and yoga and waterfalls and hiking and farmers markets. And now we've written our first book, so we're really
Right.
excited to get that out there too.
Yep.
Well, that's amazing. I want to talk about the book today, but before we do, one of the reasons I appreciate you so much is because there's a lot of people on our interview, a lot of men that have been eating healthy for a long time and have made this transition similar to yours from beer and pizza to a healthy diet. And
Yep.
I always seek to find women that are successfully doing this for a long term. And I interviewed people recently, some women who've been doing this long term, but there's not that many people that are on social media that are doing this from a family aspect.
Right.
And I just love that. I have a family, I have young children as well, and it's you don't think it's easy when you're single and you don't have children, but when you have kids and a family and you're married, you realize how easier it would have been to do this,
Right.
back then.
Oh,
So
yeah.
now one of the things you're showing people is it's possible to eat healthy and have children and have a busy lifestyle. And you're showing people how to do that.
Right.
Yep.
We got a buddy right now. In fact, we went to high school with, we both know him. They're in New York City. And this is the best time to go to New York City, right? Christmas time and the holidays. And we were there with our 2 kids. Now we have 3. But last Christmas, Erin was pregnant. We went to the city, and I love going back and watching that video because We buy berries at Whole Foods, rinse them in our hotel sink. We mix up oatmeal in our hotel room. We ask them to bring us a mini fridge. It is a lot of work, but like you said, it's possible and it's fun for us. You know, it could be a drag, but it's fun for us, and we at least we make it fun, and we recognize the abundance, how fortunate we are to be able to do these things. And so I love making the videos, you know, to say, look, I don't care if you're in a tiny hotel, dark hotel room in New York City, you can eat a healthy plant-based diet with your kids, you know?
Well, there's different ways to do things, and for me, I am so simple. My wife keeps things a little bit more interesting, and she doesn't eat the same way I eat exactly. So, what
Yeah.
about both of you? Do you like click on every level when it comes to diet, or does one of you like deviate different
Yeah.
than the other person?
No, I'd say we're
Yeah,
different.
we're definitely different,
Yeah.
I would say. Um, but a
I
lot of
I'll admit to being a little bit more of junk food vegan. So, and I blame the kids a little bit. So I've been since Max is almost 6. I'd say since he, you know, at least the last 2 or 3 years, I've been making these really amazing oat waffles with chia seeds and hemp seeds, and so waffles for breakfast for the kids. Sometimes we'll do refried black bean burritos for lunch, you know. And again, I probably wouldn't be eating this way if it wasn't for the kids, but you're better at eating more raw. We both
we
used
we
to
we
eat more
balance
raw.
each other really well. So
Yeah.
we always crack up because I'm like the raw lady. Like I do the smoothies, the fruits, the salads, all the fresh stuff, the colorful stuff.
Yeah.
And he's good at just like getting those calories in for the kids and the protein and like really, really good, like restaurant style, comfort style dinner foods for all of us, but they're like oil free and healthy. So you don't feel awful
Right,
afterwards.
right.
So I think we balance each other really well
I
that way.
struggled with acid reflux, you know, when even after I had become vegan, I still had some issues. And so the oil for me, even though it does sneak its way into some of my Italian dinners and stuff, it messes with my gut. And so, but now for the kids, they don't eat if the food isn't good, right? You know how picky kids can be, let
Sure.
alone now they're on a plant-based diet. I got to figure out how to get them sufficient calories just so they grow, let alone, you know, thrive. And so I love that challenge of how can I make really awesome food and get the kids to eat it? And then of course we get to enjoy it too, which I'm recognizing that things are changing. The older I get, I'm like, oh wow, I'm gonna have to start exercising more because all these waffle breakfasts are starting to catch up to with me. But cholesterol wise, I have no worries because again, it's all plant-based, it's all vegan, and it's fun. And I feel again, I just feel fortunate, you know,
Mhm.
to eat an organic vegan diet. It feels like a gift. So
Yeah, well, the cholesterol can be an issue if you are including oil. So that's a big thing
right.
is the oil. So I know my wife liked cooking with oil, and I was really always against canola oil. But then when I found
Yeah,
out how bad all oil is, I kind of said we got to cut out all oil.
right.
And
Mhm.
it's one thing to cut it out of having it in my raw salad dressing, but for her to cook without oil was kind of
Right.
challenging. And
Yeah.
so those dishes that you made that require oil, what's some things you did to replace that?
Yeah, I mean, even now with our, like I said, I mentioned the Italian, if we do put it in, again, it's for the kids to kind of get a little extra. You know, you hear some things about how the kids need a little bit extra fat here and there. So I don't mind putting it on the kids, at least for now. But otherwise, I'm just using vegetable broth, you
Mhm. Or
know,
water
or
even
just
just
simply water. And if you get it, we something we always tell people too when they're transitioning or they're learning to cook is like invest in good kitchenware. Get yourself some good stainless steel cookware, a nice chef's knife. And if you have good pots and pans like ours, you get that pan hot and you drop a drip of water on it. And if that water dances around the pan, it's hot enough to saute. Stuff isn't going to stick to it. So you can saute with water. You can saute with vegetable broth, you know, onions and garlic. are they're not oily, but maybe a little bit,
The
you know. So
water,
once you get
just the
those,
water releases.
yeah,
You know.
once you drop those in, it's just you wouldn't know that there wasn't oil in it. You know, throw some salt and pepper in there, and it's like, wow, this is amazing. We never needed the oil to begin with. So
Yeah.
Wonderful. So I saw a video you guys did about buying food and where you buy food and so on. And
yeah,
I know people are always curious about that. I
yeah,
don't remember, did you do it from a budget standpoint or did you just show people how much you normally spend and where you shop?
yeah,
We typically just show what we normally spend and where we shop
yeah,
because to us, we feel like that's the last place we really feel like we want to budget. And, we save money in countless other ways. I think one of the biggest ways is not eating out because
right,
we used to do that a couple times a week.
yeah,
Plus, adding alcohol into your dinner out is just like so much more.
right,
And so, not drinking, not eating out. And honestly, like if you want to budget, it is very, very possible. There are so many staple
right,
plant foods like the bulk rice and beans and grains and
yeah,
all of that stuff.
and
I mean,
even
we
your
buy
produce,
our oats by a 50-pound bag,
right.
and we buy cases of bananas
We
and
joke that we're horses
horses and monkeys. We're raising
when the
horses and
delivery
monkeys.
guys bring us our bag of oats, they're like, "Do you guys have a horse back there?" But no, it's true though. But even raw food, you know, if you're eating a primarily raw diet, yeah, we go to Costco and we buy cases of bananas. You know, I'm always that guy that is holding up the line because I have to buy a case of bananas and
Mhm.
uh you know, pineapples and mangoes. A friend of ours here in Florida just bought a case of pomegranates. I think she got from Costco. So yeah, there are definitely ways to budget. That particular video, I think, you know, just being honest, our favorite places are Trader Joe's. We always end up at Whole Foods just because it's hard to find really good greens, at least where we are, unless we go to Whole Foods. Love Costco. Don't get
And
as
also,
much.
we kind of like to say we'd rather be investing in healthcare than sick care
Right,
because there was a time where I had to get taken by ambulance to a hospital because
right,
of all of my different symptoms I was experiencing. And
right.
that bill was a lot higher
It would have
than,
covered our whole entire year of organic groceries. So it's like, let's just say, hey, I'm willing to spend, you know, good money on our organic produce and not have to, you know, worry about my doctor visits in the future. You know, yes, we're still young. People say, well, you guys are young, you don't have to worry about that yet. I just got off the phone with my dad, who I don't talk to a lot. We did a FaceTime, and he even admitted he was like, my face is getting fat. He's like late 50s, and I'm like, yeah, you know, of course, I didn't say that to him, but I'm thinking, gosh, you know, and I know how he eats. He eats terrible. You know, he drives through. He spends his time in the car, and I'm just like, gosh, when I'm 57, you know, I can't wait to see what I look like. I know what I'm going to feel like because at 30, I just turned 38 and I feel better than I did when I was 28 and probably better than when I was 18. And so I'm like, if I continue down this path and if anybody that's following us does the same, our future as far as how we feel. And then again, going back to medical bills and things like that, it's a bright one, you know? So
Sure. Well, my
yeah,
family and I, we were spending a lot of money on food, just not thinking about it. And now we're
yeah,
excited, we're budgeting, and it's so much fun to realize, wow, how much were we spending on that stuff? Because I wouldn't think twice about buying like frozen
right.
durian or just some almond butter or something. Now we like,
Right.
let's think about that. This $20 for a bottle. We could
Yeah,
do something else. And it's
yeah,
to me, it's exciting because I want to see how and to teach others that yes, you don't
yeah,
have to, but to know that if you want to budget eat in this way, you can and still get everything you need. And it's
yeah,
yeah,
exciting, you know.
yeah,
definitely.
And like you said, a Trader Joe's, Aldi, Costco, those are
yeah.
much cheaper than like Whole Foods and
Right,
Sprouts and these other
right.
stores. Even Publix is quite expensive unless
Yeah,
you're getting
It
those
is.
bingo deals, you know.
yeah,
Right, right. Publix is so expensive, but it's hard because Publix is 5 minutes away, you
Yeah.
know? And it's like, gosh, you know, we got three kids and it's like, do I take one with me and how far do I need to go? And so yeah, it's a trade-off.
well, then we're also experimenting with what can we grow at home.
I
Right,
was
right.
just gonna mention that. I was just gonna mention
Yeah.
that. What
We've got
did
a
you grow?
massive
Especially in
kale.
Florida. I mean, what a gift to be able to
Yeah,
grow things year round
Yeah,
and have them
100%.
continue to grow and grow and grow. Whereas in Nebraska, we plant our garden and it's dead by this time of year. You
right.
got to restart.
That being said, hurricanes have done a number on some of our trees, unfortunately, but we've got 2 healthy mango trees. We've got a papaya tree that just won't stop. I mean,
And the passion
the
fruit.
birds are eating our papayas because they come and they come and they come. And passion fruit, when passion fruit hits, I'm giving it away because we've got so much. So that's fun. That's definitely fun for us right now. The weather's been cool, so we honestly can't eat as much kale as there is in the garden, so that's really exciting. And
We've got some moringa seeds we're going to plant. So
right,
we've never done that before, but we
Wow.
have the powder for blending, which we've
Right.
always used, but we're going to try and
yeah,
grow it.
yeah. One of we take Max to homeschool group once a week. Erin does, and one of the moms was like, "You got to start growing moringa because here in Florida they grow like a weed." So anyway, so yeah, that's been fun too. I think if we could grow some potatoes, we do have bananas. I saw there's another rack of bananas coming in the backyard. But if we could grow potatoes, stuff like that, you could really live. If you had enough land and got good enough, you could live off your land. And
Well,
I think
yeah,
something that's really exciting,
it's interesting to mention that. I have a quarter acre here,
right?
and I've gotten to a point where 80% of my diet probably is coming from my yard.
Oh, that's amazing.
And it's when I planted my trees, I have a lot of fruit trees. I don't know if you've seen my Fruitful Trees channel, but when I planted my trees, I did it with the goal is I don't want a snack. I want something that's gonna fill me up when I eat it.
Mm-hmm.
And the garden though is only available in the yard. The garden's only available in the winter time because in the summer it adds a little bit of a challenge. But I'll tell you the key, and for you and everyone listening right now, the key is sprouting. You could do the
Oh yeah,
whole year inside, and that
right,
changes to a whole nother level. It's amazing.
right. We
Yeah.
did a podcast with Doug Evans, who's the sprout
Yeah.
man.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've talked to him a few times and it's amazing. I think
What really did it, I'll say really quick, what did it for me is thinking of the fact that like one broccoli sprout turns into an entire head of broccoli. So
right.
if you can eat a handful of broccoli sprouts, like how much cancer fighting compounds are you getting
Just
in
imagine,
ingesting?
yeah, it's intense. And we need to do it more,
Yeah,
honestly. Erin, I think with pregnancy and stuff, she kind of like had aversions to some things, so we need to start sprouting again but
definitely.
we've got all the equipment, and this is for, like you said, this is for anybody. You buy a jar or the trays, there's multiple ways, and it's affordable to do, and anybody can do it, indoors. So
It's amazing. Point being is we don't need land to grow food, people.
true,
Yeah.
We're
true.
now I see you have this is one of your childs there. So how old?
Yeah,
This is Zoe.
this is always she's 7 months
Yep.
old. Yep.
7 months. Wow. And so does Zoe what does Zoe eat?
Right now, we're doing baby-led weaning, so we're not making purees and buying store-bought jars and things like that.
Yeah.
So, just finger foods, things like soft fruits and lightly cooked and steamed vegetables like sweet potatoes, and she loves
Yeah.
avocado and
We blended her first smoothie, was it yesterday? What was it, bananas and strawberries?
yep.
Just basic stuff, And
Mhm.
and I can't even say that she's eating as much as she's just tasting, most of it comes back out. But yeah, all of the kids have been most primarily breastfed. So I can't remember. It seems like it's almost a year before they really start like
As
eating
the saying
meals.
goes, it's under one just for fun in
Yeah.
regards to food. So it kind of takes the pressure off. You just
Yeah.
let them experiment and go at their own pace.
Yep. Yep.
Boy.
So, and
Yeah.
she's happy as can be. She's standing up. She's
Crawling all over
got
the
a full
place.
head of hair, and we have people commenting all the time that are just like, wow, all three of your kids have been so, vibrant and
Yeah,
healthy,
I think
and
the main thing is their disposition.
right.
You know,
They're
like
calm, they're chill babies, they're happy kids, and they're full of energy, and Max, I will say, is so coordinated and so talented he loves baseball, so we go to baseball, and one of the coaches came up to me after the game and he's like, "Dude, what's your secret with Max?" I said, "I don't, what do you mean?" He said, "He's not the biggest kid. We can all see that he's not the biggest kid, but he's the best. He's like, he's the best kid on the baseball field. And, you know, and again, we're average sized people. So obviously there's like, you have your
They're
few
all
giant kids
they're
on the
all pretty
team.
much smack dab right in the
Right.
middle for
Yeah.
everything, height and weight.
Size
So
wise. In fact,
I'm
we
happy with that.
and I hate to almost admit it, but again, with us being so sick, we took Max in the other day and they did blood work and stuff, and they were like, and we were like, how's his iron? You know, we were kind of worried, like, okay, but here the truth, like, here's the truth, like, is this vegan diet working? She was like, we didn't tell her we were on a plant-based diet or anything. She was like, his blood work is perfect. He's got, you know, healthy iron, all these things, and we're like, you know, not that we doubted, but you know,
Sure.
sometimes when they're not eating great or they're picky or whatever, and it's like, you know, you hope that they're getting what they need as vegan kids. And sure enough, she was like, oh yeah, he's super healthy. So with minus the fact he's got a cold, you know, his blood work looked great. And so we were like, awesome. That's the affirmation that we needed, you know, from God to say, you guys are doing the right thing, you know?
And I
So,
think if there was to be an issue with it, it would start much beyond before
yeah,
being 3 years old or 6 years old. The
right.
very fact that my body can grow a body, hair
Right.
and bones and skin and organs.
Right.
I mean, that must mean that this plant-based diet
It's
is
sufficient,
yeah.
if not
And so I just
optimal.
think that's really cool when you start to think about it.
And I'll say too, Erin is, you know, she doesn't like to brag, so I'll brag for her. Her births have all been great. And this last one, she had Zoe here at home and in no time. I think he had a 2 or 3 hour labor. I'm not going to say it was pain free, but it was quite an incredible experience to not be hooked up to anything, to not have meds or any of that. And again, it just, to me, it just goes to, and the fact that she's, one of the biggest questions we get on our YouTube channel is, you know, how do you look so good after just giving birth or, you know, whatever. And Erin's like, I just continued doing what I worked out through my pregnancy. I ate the same as I eat now. And it's like, wow, that from an outsider's perspective, whatever you're doing is working, and it's just fun and exciting. So
So, do you give your children any supplements at all?
Yeah, we do have whole food, like organic multivitamins that we kind of go in and out with because they
yeah,
kind of get tired of them. They're like, I just don't like the taste or whatever. But we try to at least make sure that they're getting sufficient B12, D3, and then we do an algae omega.
Okay. And what about and by the way, moringa powder is the best multivitamin. It's
That's
so
good to hear.
wonderful. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm really
Make
excited to try and grow it.
oh,
I was, yeah.
I have so many trees, and I say the most important tree I have in my yard is the moringa tree.
Cool.
No, it's so good. I eat it every day, and it's wonderful. You powder it down and put it in your food. It's great. So what about so now people are watching this, and quite possibly people that don't have families or don't want families might have already signed off on this one. But for those of you that are here, I know it can be overwhelming. And that's it. It can be overwhelming. Where do they start? What do they do? And I know you just came out with a book, and I won't say that a non-married person or not person with children can't benefit from it, but families are going to tremendously benefit from your book, giving ideas. Now, in your books, there's recipes. Do you have recipes like specifically for children, or how'd you do the recipes? Was it by like ethnicity or children's recipes? How'd you do it?
Honestly, we just broke it up into like what would we eat for each meal of the day. So there's a section for juices, smoothies, and then like hearty breakfasts, lunches, dinners, snacks, desserts. So everything basically. And I always say this book is for everyone. Obviously, like yes,
I'll
a
show
young
it.
obviously
It's
a young
finally here.
family, but also the fact that all of these are kid friendly, kid approved,
Right.
kids enjoy them means that basically anyone can enjoy them, right? If
Yeah.
picky kids eat them. So that's kind of the way we position it because it's true, you know. there are some recipes in there that we have marked as like our kids' absolute favorites in each category, just
Right.
in case somebody's like, I just can't get my kid to eat anything. So we kind of tried to highlight
But
some.
there are also foods, like you said, that we enjoy too. It's not like it's a kid's food book.
But it's kid approved,
It's
so it
kid
means any
approved.
adult will approve.
And you know, you pick up, we have a cabinet here with cookbooks from friends and other authors, and sometimes I'll pick them up and I'll look, and maybe the ingredient list is way too long, or yeah, so many of them,
Or obscure
yeah,
ingredients that you don't
ingredients that are
have.
too hard to find that we don't have, or there's too much oil or something, and I can usually work with that. But for our book, I was like, we just need something that's like chop and drop, right? Like cut it, drop it in the pan, or put it in the slow cooker or whatever. And so those are the recipes we wanted to make. No obscure ingredients, nothing that takes a lot of time. Uh, and I think that we did it. We took all the pictures ourselves. Our kids' hands are in them. You can literally see our children like trying to sneak bites, which I think is fun and exciting. And it's just real. It's
And
just
I
real.
honestly, I had to devote one, I called it a recipe. It's fantastic fruit plates, but all it
Right.
is like pick your favorite varieties of fruit, chop them and put them on a plate. Like that
Right.
is what the kids want.
People don't know.
More than anything else. Like
Yeah,
let's just enjoy fast fruit. It's
right.
nature's fast fruit. You don't have to go to the store and buy fruit snacks. You
Right.
know, this is
Right.
the perfect fruit snack.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that a lot of times that is what we're eating. Is a big plate of fruit, especially,
And
you know.
portions. People are afraid of portions of fruit, right? They're like, oh, one banana. In fact, I go, like I just mentioned already, I go and I buy bananas, and people go, what are you doing with all these bananas? Like every single time. And so I laugh and I tell them. One lady asked me, she goes, okay, how many bananas is too many a day? She said, if my kid, if she would let me, she would eat 11 bananas a day. And I didn't say let her, but I was thinking that, gosh, if my kids wanted to eat 11 bananas a day, I'd say go for it, you know? Um, because people are afraid of fruit. They're like, oh, well, my doctor says, or this blog says, or, you know, fruit makes you fat, right? And so I can only have one banana a day. And I'm like, no, a Snickers bar, you know, and a banana aren't the same. And just like our friends Robbie and Cyrus with mastering diabetes, you know, they're type 1 diabetics and they're basic fruitarians. And so like we have to bust these myths, and yeah, so just giving people permission to eat a plate of fruit, I think is going to hopefully be liberating and exciting.
Yeah, I don't want anyone to misunderstand what you just said because it might have came out the wrong way. You said they're type 1 diabetics and they're fruitarian, but you didn't say that in a negative way, everybody. He said that in a positive
Right,
way, that they're
right,
able to eat fruit and actually do better with fruit.
right,
Yeah.
Then it's helping them with their type 1 diabetes is
Yep.
what he meant.
exactly.
Having to administer the minimum amount of, you know, the
Uh,
medicine that they need.
Insulin,
Yeah.
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 So yeah,
Well,
the fruit is helping. I remember my grandma saying, "Well, I can't have, you know, I have diabetes, so the doctor said I can't have fruit anymore." And you know, that's yeah, following guys like Robbie and Cyrus, they're busting that myth and showing no, that's quite the contrary. We're doing better, you know, with managing our type 1 diabetes when we eat high volumes of fruit, and that's exciting, you know.
sure. So where do you limit it for your children? 11 bananas, 20 bananas, 30? Where do you limit it? Where do you say that's a little too much, or do you?
Yeah. We've never had that problem, you know, they've never actually tried to eat 11 bananas. But the funny thing about eating fruit, whether it's a child or for me, your body knows when you're full, right? Like we go to Costa Rica and we eat mangoes with our hands and it's dripping down our faces. And the clean freak in me wants to, you know, grab a towel, but also like the the crazy part of me wants to live that way forever. We just want to eat mangoes all day
But
and
your body
bananas
kind of
off the
tells
trees.
you know, when enough is enough,
Yeah,
as opposed to some of those hyper palatable, salty, oily, sugary, processed packaged foods where
right.
it's really difficult for your body to signal to you when enough is enough.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
the
don't
kids,
know. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, so the kids they never eat too much. They never try to. They come in, you know, from outside. They just had some apple slices, and we always chop a bunch, and they eat until they're full, and then they're done, and then they go play. And so, yeah.
And I don't know if there's any other parent that can say that they bought their child a gingerbread house from the store. Just
Right.
it's not gluten-free, it's not organic, it's not dye-free,
Nothing
it's
special.
loaded with sugar, it's loaded with
Right.
all the bad stuff. Built the gingerbread house, and they didn't eat an ounce of the candy or
Right.
the frosting or the gingerbread.
Right.
We built it. It's sitting right here.
Right.
And they ate a plate of fruit afterwards, and we baked some healthy plant-based gingerbread cookies for them to eat.
Right.
So they prefer this food because they, if you delay that hyper processed food as long as you possibly can with your kids, it can be a lot easier.
Yeah. Your body knows what it
for them
likes
to
better.
have.
Max will say, Dad, I'm too, we got, like I mentioned, baseball, and he got a cupcake handed to him after one of the games, and, he had it halfway gone by the time he made it to us, but that was all he needed. And he was like, Dad, I feel like crap. I'm sugared out, he says. And we'll do birthday parties. Last summer, we had a birthday party for Liv in July, and so we had friends, and we had a big vegan cake. It was still vegan, but it was cake, and then we had a fruit cake, watermelon and strawberries running off of it. And not just our kids, everybody else's kids went back for the fruit cake, because I think we all can vouch, too much sugar, cake, it never makes us feel good, right? But fruit, oh man, it's hydrating and refreshing, and it's real energy, and it's got fiber, and it's, so yeah, that's a fun, exciting thing for us too.
Sure. Me personally, I have to limit myself with the fruit because I could definitely, my body doesn't give me that signal because when it's
That's right, yeah.
summertime and I have all these amazing mangoes on the tree,
Oh,
I know I'm
man.
overeating and I don't want to stop. I'm not listening
Right,
to my body or something. So I definitely got to
right,
say, okay, I'm going to enjoy this, but I'm not going to eat more than this amount because I will get
right.
Yeah.
myself sick eating them too much because they're that
Oh, totally,
amazing. They're so good. You know?
totally. I
That's
do
how I
that with
use
melon.
watermelon. Yeah, I
Yeah,
was gonna
Yeah,
say that.
exactly,
The
exactly.
long
Because
run, you come home
we'll,
and eat watermelon too
they call it
fast.
watermelon belly, right?
yeah,
So
Yeah.
we could eat more than our body's telling. We're just not listening. I agree, your body tells you, but you don't listen, and you're like, "This is so good," especially on a hot day, and he's eating the watermelon. It's like,
right. I
Well, my
should say,
part of it too with the watermelon is like buying the seedless. If there's seeds in it, you eat it slower, and then you get that signal. I think another thing is like with nuts,
oh yeah, this
so
is a
many
good point.
people eat like a whole bag of like candied nuts or salted roasted nuts in one
Right.
sitting. But I'm like, where would you ever find just a pile of nuts that were shelled
Mixer.
and roasted and ready to go like that? Like,
You had to pick them. So it's
yeah,
like after 5 nuts, you're like, "Oh, to hell with it. I'm tired of this," right? And you're done, and you've had as many nuts as you need. But yeah, that's a good point. And I think too,
but that's a big problem too. It has nothing to do with the roastedness of the nuts, because so many people that are eating a healthy or vegan diet eat way too much nuts.
Oh, I know.
They use it in recipes, even
yeah,
raw. They use it in
Right,
recipes and so much. And I go for the philosophy of what you just said. Is like in nature you couldn't do this. You
right.
couldn't sit there and eat pounds of almonds and so on. But people are making a recipe and they're eating like their almond tuna fish and all this stuff, and it just
yeah,
can't do that in nature. I
Erin and I
think
don't even we struggle with the raw restaurants. There's amazing raw food
yeah.
restaurants near us, but every time I go, I can't do it because it's too fatty. There's too much
Yeah,
breads on everything, and
yeah.
I'm just like, I would rather go to a regular Italian restaurant and get noodles and red sauce than go to a raw bar and get too many nuts and seeds. So yeah, I agree.
yeah, and I also think about the type of nut. Like you gave that example of nature. I'm like, well, in nature, I could easily open a fresh pistachio. I could open walnuts,
Right.
maybe almonds. But besides that, some of those nuts, especially on the holiday times, you see them in the store. Those things they're hard to open, so you
Right.
couldn't
Yeah.
eat that many,
Yeah.
and so I just take it myself, like, well, I don't wanna eat any of those if it's too hard to get into. I wanna eat the nuts that
Right.
I know in nature I would be able to eat easily, not eat
Totally.
Yep,
them at
like
all.
the cashew nut. There's one nut hanging on the bottom of
On the
this big
fruit.
fruit, and I
Yeah.
actually recently watched this video saying that raw cashews are never actually raw because they're actually toxic in their raw
Right.
state.
Right.
they're toxic in every state. They're just bad all around, and they have a lot of allergies, but they're the most
That is
addicting, best
a tough
tasting though.
one. That's a tough one for most vegans to hear. I mean, I love making like a good cashew cream sauce when we have our like taco nights, but
Yeah.
I mean, at the
Use
same time,
pine nuts. I mean, you'll
I
go broke, but use pine nuts.
Pine nuts,
yeah, you will go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Well,
that's
cashews are expensive too. Cashew butter. We made the mistake of buying cashew butter, and it's like liquid gold. It's so expensive, but
oh
Max
yeah.
loves it.
All the
So
nut butters are. I mean, I was telling my wife, we used to buy these almond butters like $20 for one bottle,
Yeah,
and it goes way too fast.
it does.
And so now we keep a tahini in the fridge, but it lasts a long time because we're just thinking about, hey, this is, and so, but so besides, is your book strictly a recipe book, or does it talk about other things as well?
Yeah, so the bulk of it is the 75 recipes, but then in the beginning, we share kind of our own health and healing journey. We share our Eat, Move, Rest philosophy. So there's a whole section on like basically everything plant-based. There's different charts and tables breaking down different nutrients and different foods and stuff like that. Like our favorite kitchen appliances and getting started things. We talk about movement and fitness and our take on that, and then rest and
yep,
kind of spirituality and mindfulness are folded in there.
yep,
And then there's a 40-day meals, movement, and mindfulness challenge. So rather than just doing a meal, like a meal challenge, it has the fitness and the mindfulness added in. So all things Eat, Move, Rest.
yep.
So yeah, it's there's a lot in there.
Our story, I think, Paul, last time we talked, we talked a little bit more about our story. So if you guys are watching or listening, you can go back and watch
I'll
that
put that
episode.
link below, everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, and we put that in the book too. And it was actually interesting when Erin and I were writing that separately we've talked about it and we've lived it together, but it was interesting for us to see how we viewed each other's stories, in writing at least. It seemed different. And
Mhm.
and so I think readers will dig that portion of the book too. So
So when you guys first met in college, right?
yeah,
And you started dating,
yeah.
if you both, let's say you were walking in the store or walking somewhere, and you saw a family doing what you're doing now back then, what would you both have said to each other?
Oh, probably that could never be us. We probably wouldn't, I don't even know. But you know what? After it didn't take long for us to get to that point, and we wanted to be healthy, but I don't think we could have imagined 3 kids for one. The vegan thing, that would have been hard. It would have been a stretch for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Definitely.
But
We used to make fun of vegans. We used to make fun of parents. We're like, that's so uncool. We're never having kids.
right.
Like we were just
Yeah.
too cool for all of
And
it,
it's funny,
basically.
right?
But
I had a vegetarian roommate, and his dad was a food scientist, and it's no wonder he was a vegetarian because he knew how terrible food was. A lot of these animal foods were for you. And yeah, we made fun of him. We teased him for being a vegetarian. We're from Nebraska, where the license plate says the beef state, and so a vegan, I was afraid to tell my family, it was like, it was crazy. So I could have never imagined it, but I couldn't be happier. We couldn't be happier. I think our kids will thank us too, and be happy. Well, even if they, Max will get his driver's license, and I'm sure he'll eat junk food and go through the drive-through and do all these things, but he'll always know and he'll always remember, and you teach the child the way, and he will come back, right? It's even in scripture. So I think the same with the diet. Our kids will know, where they came from, and they'll come back to this way of eating if they ever stray. And so it's been a blessing for us now. It's going to bless our kids. It's going to hopefully bless future generations. And yeah,
I
it's been
think
great.
my biggest fear, once we got healthy together and got really dialed in, and I started the blog and all of these things, and we just were rolling, we had this momentum in life. I was to the point where I was like, you know what? I don't really care if we don't have kids, because I had this fear that if or when we did, that it would somehow mean the end of all of that.
Yeah.
That I could no longer blog, I could no longer eat healthy. I'd have to figure out how to feed kids. But I feel like my perspective has changed. I feel like where there's a will, there's a way.
Right.
If something is important to you, you'll find a way to make it happen. And that has very much been the case for us with healthy eating, with still exercise. I do it out in the garage every day with the kids.
Right.
They're usually on the rebounder. You know, we make it fun.
Yeah. And I went for a run and Max followed me on his bike, and it's like, it's just a blast.
I consider it an evolution, you know? We do things differently. We've evolved, but it's happened slowly. It wasn't just like a stark contrast where overnight I couldn't do anything I wanted to do anymore.
Right.
So I think it's been incredible. And what a gift to be able to bring beings into this world who are conscious and aware, and it's just going to hopefully make the world a better place, you know? Like we're multiplying that goodness. So
you know, and I don't think about it enough, but when I do stop to think about, you know, the environmental impacts of the way we're eating, that also is huge. And selfishly, that's not why we went vegan. We didn't go vegan for the animals or the environment. We just wanted to feel better. And the three paths all cross at some point where you go, wow, yeah, this animal cruelty is so wicked. It's got to stop. And then you look at the environmental issues and the amount of water it takes to raise enough beef for one hamburger, and it's like, that's absurd. And so, you know, besides feeling better, getting healthy, raising our kids, all of these things, it's like, wow, yeah, we're doing good things for animals, for the environment, for all of God's creation, essentially. So yeah, we feel fortunate and excited.
Well, I want to encourage everyone that's watching. You know, you could scroll through the text. You can come up with all the excuses and reasons you want. You know, it's medically and scientifically and logically proven that we're designed to be vegetarians and vegans, and that's the way we're created. And if you want the ideal health, you need to do it, but you need to do it the right way. And there is a right way and wrong way to do everything.
Right.
And it's people like us through the recipes and just through experience want to show you how to do it and raise your families to eat this way. So
Totally.
yes, and I want to thank you both for joining us. How could people get a copy of your book?
Yeah, go to our website. What is it? EatMoveRest.com/book.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's on pre-sale now. It will be released January 7th. And if you pre-order it, you'll actually receive a free bonus recipe ebook and a behind the scenes interview with us, and kind of talk about what went into the making of it. And you'll also get a chance to win a free Vitamix blender or Nama juicer from us as a way of saying thank you.
Yeah. It's always our favorite thing. Every time we have anything, we're like, let's give away a blender or a juicer.
Because that's what changed our lives.
It changed our lives. It changed our lives. So we're like, if we can get a Vitamix, a legitimate blender or juicer in somebody's hands, it will, you know, change their lives too. So yeah, go pre-order the book. You can find it on Amazon. But if you go to eatmoverest.com/book, you can see all of the vendors there.
Pretty much anywhere books are sold online.
Yeah. But they're sold in other countries. So go there. Find the vendor. Otherwise, Amazon works too. And find us on YouTube, youtube.com/EatMoveRest, where you can watch our family vlogs, you know, just day in the life type of stuff that is hopefully encouraging to families too.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you both very much for joining us. In closing, is there anything else you want to share?
No, just thank you for putting this together and having us on.
Yep, thank you so
All right,
much.
everybody, check out the links below. Get their book. Check out their YouTube channel. All the links are below. It's wonderful, and keep up the great work, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Nature's wealth, good for your health. This is the Raw Life Health Show.